What's up, gang? It's Deltia from deltiasgaming.com, and in this video we're going to go over Magic Sorcerer leveling build. What I did from level 1 to VR1. Now, I reached VR1 in about a day and a half, about 20 hours in game time, so there's no way we're a sewers grind. And I used all the spots in my ESO power leveling video. So this video is about Magic Sorcs, all the tips and tricks I've used, and what I do throughout the leveling process. Important passives, skills, gear, and more. Stay tuned. Frag Out and Ignition, a future of Sorcerers and ESO 2.0. Alright, so what I did with this build is kind of had a vision at VR1 what I wanted it to look like, and started at level 1 making that happen early on. And so I basically have all the skills that I need at VR1 to run the old Frag Out build, which is really useful for doing the sewers, open world PvE, leveling, or even PvP for starters. Okay, so here's what I did. From levels 1 to 2, from levels 1 to 10, I basically had this on my bar. I used a Destruction Staff, but I equipped Healing Springs, the very first ability in here. Why? Because at level 15, you're going to unlock Bar Swap, and we're going after some key critical abilities. So if you don't know, Restoration Staff Healing Ward. This is the monster bubble / self-heal that the Sorcs have defensively. You can get this pretty early in the game, especially if you bar a Restoration Staff ability. Just note that you get experience for the Restoration Staff ability just merely having something equipped. You don't have to use it. You don't even have to have a Restoration Staff equipped or on. You just have to have an ability on. So that's why I have that there. Okay, Destruction Staff as well. You're going to go with Destructive Touch because it's the very first skill that you can get. And I unlock all of these because they're kind of important depending on what we're going for. So just realize that the end game, what we're trying to have on our back bar is something like this. Harness Magicka, which is the light armor skill. You get that at 22 and you can get it really early. That's going to give us a lot of protection. We also are going to have Daedric Summoning Hardened Ward. Another ward, huge, massive protection, combined with the other one, very, very good. Further protection, we're going to have Healing Ward. So we're going to have 3 wards that if they cannot penetrate, is going to heal us up to full. So the idea is to get all that stuff during the leveling process, use VR1 and go mow through content. Okay, so I have Healing Springs on there so I can get Healing Ward right away. I have Destructive Touch, and I don't even morph it. I just want to get access to Force Pulse right away. This is our single target spammable ability that we're going to use in PvE and PvP, and I take this more for the more damage. Though you could do Crushing Shock if you wanted to set people off balance. But basically we're going to use this throughout the entire game. So it's easy to get this started right away, get it morphed, and give it max level. Another thing that's very important is you notice that we have 5 skills plus an ultimate. Realize my leveling strategy is to have 1 ability on my bar per. So 1 Dark Magic, 1 Daedric Summoning, 1 Storm Calling, starting out. That's very, very important because you want to level these somewhat the same. So you can see here, Dark Magic is 44, 46, 46. So I can get access to passives right around VR1, all of them in the game. You're also going to want to double bar those so you can get ultimates. Use that as a filler. So if you need something to catch up, like Dark Magic, put the ultimate in there because you're going to get extra experience for an extra Dark Magic ability. So right away, I bar Crystal Fragments. It's unmorphed, but you're going to have it morphed. This ability is, Frag Out. It's the main source of it. Basically, casting stuff gives you a chance to hear the sound, your hands light up, and you proc a C frag. It's commonly referred to as, and it's just awesome. You nuke people. It's the original Hit Like a Truck. I just love it. Daedric Summoning. Now I put the Unstable Familiar on my bar right away, but I don't really use it at all. And what I do use is Malicious Curse. This is a part of a awesome mage's combo, if you will, like the Hit Like a Truck combo that just nukes players. Plus it has decent damage starting off, and it does do AoE, which the Sorc lacks really early. So it's a nice thing to use, and I pretty much use this all the way until I get Bound Aegis. And then I morph this so I can have Max Magic, 7 Max Magic in fact. So it goes very, very well later on for PvE. And then once I have that leveled up, I go to Hardened Ward. In the Dark Magic, I pretty much take everything because I do like all these skills. Shattering Prison is an awesome immobilize. For group play, it's basically a front talons, if you will. It's amazing. Defensive Rune, I think one of the most underrated skills in the game. Basically, for a minute and a half, and once you have this up to 4, it's basically like 2+ minutes. If someone attacks you, they get stunned. So if you're doing Imperial City and you're constantly getting ganked, this is like anti-gank mode right here. And it doesn't cost anything. Plus, it lasts forever. So I really, really like this ability. Dark Conversion is a way to transfer to give you health and magic and never run out of resources at the cost of stamina. Very good for people with low champion points or are struggling with resources. And then Daedric Minefield. This thing is amazing for open field, PvP, dueling type stuff, and even group play, setting up these huge mines. They blow up if they try to get in there. So those are the really important skills that you're going to get right away. The important passives. Number 1, in Dark Magic. This basically alone will help you get through pretty much all the leveling content. Hitting the enemy with the Dark Magic heals you for 8% of your max health. Well, what is that? Crystal Fragments. So your main bread and butter damage dealer is going to heal you for 8% of your max health constantly. So you got to get this passive right away, making Dark Magic the priority out the gate. So I like to level Dark Magic by slotting Suppression Field right away or Negate. That's the ultimate that I go after because each of these are going to hit level 12 simultaneously. Talked about Daedric Summoning, Storm Calling, Endless Fury. This is our finisher. Basically, all the Sorc abilities have some use. So I like this, and this is the first ability I take. I also take Boundless Storm next and replace it with Endless Fury because it gives me a lot of speed and tons of resistance. So I'm going to use that until I get Streak as my movement ability. Sorcs are the kings of mobility, and this is one of the reasons. The next ability that I get is Liquid Lightning. It's a decent AoE. It's great in PvE for single target DPS, though it's not the best AoE because it's not mobile. It doesn't hit that hard, and it has a small radius. So it's no impulse, but it will work while leveling. And then Power Surge. You gotta have this. Major sorcery, and it heals you for 40% of your critical strike damage. It's amazing. Amazing self-heal. And then Streak. The big old nasty, go through everyone, looks cool, one of the coolest abilities in the game. And then the main thing you want to get here is Disintegrate. Gives all shock spells 6% chance to instantly disintegrate low health targets. Basically, it vaporizes people. The more people around, the greater chance you have to proc this. It's awesome for group PvP. Another thing, increase max recovery by 10%. This will help you out tremendously early on. And so, once again, Healing Springs, Destructive Touch, Destruction Staff, Malicious Curse after you get the little critter done, Endless Fury, and then Crystal Fragments. Now this will take you all the way to at level 10 or 15 where you get a second bar. Okay, at level 10 to 25, essentially what's going to happen is you're going to get another bar at 15. You're going to run Resto, Destro pretty much the entire time. So what I start doing is, since you level these pretty much evenly, you're going to have access to about the third ability by the time you reach level 15. So that gives us Defense and Rune, Shatter Prison, Summon Wing Twilight, which I don't really use, Liquid Lightning, and Boundless Storms. So I go ahead and slot Boundless Storms as my first ability, basically to proc that disintegration and give me movement speed, plus a lot of mitigation. I'm still using the Destructive Staff ability, Destructive Touch, until I unlock Force Pulse. Then I'm going to switch over to that pretty much the rest of the game. Then I go into Dark Magic and I use Defensive Rune. Basically, I use this as a control mechanism on mobs. So I'll use this so when they attack me, if I'm going off for 2 or 3, and I'll leave one of them stunned. Remember, they're disoriented. So if you don't hit them or do damage, that mob will be stunned for 18.3 seconds, allowing you to kill 1 or 2 more of them. And then I go with Liquid Lightning Stormcalling. That's the AoE ability. So now I have some single target, I have some AoE, and then Dark Magic once again, some big burst single target. And then my ultimate, I do switch to Daedric Summoning right here. And that way I can get Bound Aegis leveled up really quick and Hardened Ward. You really, really want to go after Hardened Ward. And so my back part is Healing Springs, Restoration Staff. It's just a simple heal. And I use 2 abilities right off the gate. So Healing Springs, you should have access to Mutagen right away. You'll notice I basically have all these unlocked. Because what I do is, it's so important to get healing springs to make your guy tanky. So when I'm turning in quest, basically I slot all 3 of these abilities, turn in a quest on this specific bar to get restoration staff leveled up faster. Trust me, you want healing springs that bad. It's that good. And then once light armor reaches 22, you can get access to annulment and imorphin harness magic, giving us our first level of protection. However, harness magic does not protect against physical damage. It's only spell damage. But a lot of the mobs are Daedra and undead, and they're going to shoot fire at you and that sort of thing, so it's really powerful early on. And then my dark magic backbar spell is Shattering Prison. Basically, this is an immobilized right in front of you. So you can kite and basically just control the mobs and they can't get to you. Using the prison defensive rune and using Shattering Prison, you're just controlling them and they're not getting to you. And then I have Felicia's Curse for an ability slotted and AoE. Now you'll notice I have bats here. So Vampire is up to you. I'm doing something very specific and I want to see it at endgame. I like it specifically for Devouring Swarm. Now I got Vampire at level 11 and it was very hard at first, so I don't recommend doing that. But once you get Devouring Swarm, it's like a 5-second, God mode type thing that will let you get through a lot of huge mobs. So especially if you're grinding, I recommend that. If not, go to Overload. Overload's a good ability. It gives us a 3rd bar, which I'll show you guys later. And the morph that I like is Energy Overload, which you can use to get back resources, essentially trading ultimate for magic. So Sorcs have a lot of access to this. Okay, so let's see what the combat looks like here. We got some little NPC tater tots up here. Where are they? Did everyone kill them? Here's little, what's her name? Crazy lady. Okay. So I'm going to get defensive rune up. So watch what happens on this little guy. Come here, tater tot. Oh, he's going to channel on me. I don't even know this is going to work. Oh my god. Boom. Look. See how he's encased right there? So I can go ahead and pick off this guy if I'm in a double combat and wait about 18 seconds for this guy to come up. So I'm going to keep my armor up. I'm going to use my single target ability until you hear that sound and your hands glow purple. And then it's kaboom. Yep, C-frags. And go ahead and keep on working on them. If you're having trouble with mobs, remember to keep your defensive harness up because it will just stun lock people. And if I'm in an AoE situation, I simply just put this down. Liquid Lightning. And then I go ahead and get my stance up once mobs are attacking me. C-frags proc, hit them. Now look at that monster heal, 1.3, 1,300 health. You see defensive rune proc. So if I'm in trouble, I just lay a healing springs, put a heal over time on myself, pop this buddy, put a Felicia's Curse on him, and kaboom. Now, let's say there's a bunch of melee and they're on me like this guy, right? You're going to do a Shattering Prison. Now, that's the immobilize right there. And I'm going to recast Harness. So he's just basically giving me magic right now and doing no damage to me. I'm going to lock him in place just like that. And Shattering Prison is AoE as well. So if you have a couple mobs, let's go get a bunch of them here. So I'm going to get my buffs up. And I'm going to pull a bunch of these mobs here. Or 2, I guess. And wait till they group up. So here's the melee guys who's coming to pressure me, right? Shattering Prison. Felicia's Curse. Switch back and then do some single target on them. Until my hands glow up purple and I hear that sound effect. Oh, there it is. Kablammy! Okay, my ward's down. I need some heals. I'm going to put a Felicia's Curse, bar swap, and kablammy. Ooh, 8.4 frags. So you can see there, this is a lot of fun. Now, if you want an awesome combo for just like absolutely nuking people, the old Sorc combo is still available to you. So you can use this little combo here, which is a lot of fun, and it's a kabloomy fest. Essentially what you're going to do is load this guy up, a single target, and then you're going to use Structured Entropy into a C-frags. Structured Entropy later on will give you 20% more damage for your next attack, and when everything is timed right, it's just going to blow up in their face. So you're going to use Force Pulse or Crushing Shock, whichever morph you go with, and that's going to be our single target ability until we get a proc for C-frags. Once it's procced, we're going to load the guy up with some specific abilities. Felicia's Curse, Mage's Fury, and then we're going to all let it go off with one kaboom. Oh, Aspect Rune. I can't pass these up. You guys know that. What'd I get? Oh, a taboo. Okay, so here we go. Felicious Curse. Do a Crushing Shock. There's a proc. Endless Fury. Entropy. I couldn't even get it off. That's how much damage this combo does. But if you are allowed to get it off and you do this, oh, the guy drops below 20% health. Felicious Curse goes off, and if C-Frags, it's just vaporized to almost anyone. And that's an awesome combo to do early on or at endgame for single player PvP. Okay, from 25 to VR1, you want your bars to look similar to what I have. Okay, so you're going to have these in different order, but if you put the 3 abilities on your bar from each skill line, you should have access to these skills pretty early, which is going to be Streak. Basically, you're going to streak through enemies, stunning them, and then turn around and nuking them. Notice, you don't want to cast Streak the 4 seconds after, because it will cost more and more and more magic. Though if you have a high elf like I do, you can streak a lot before you run out. You're going to still have your single target spammable ability Force Pulse. You're going to have your Curse, which you can only apply once, and it takes 3.5 seconds to blow up. Usually you're going to put that on your primary target. And then you're going to have your AoE spammable ability, Pulsar. I do like this morph for specifically the health reduction, and in crew PvP it's very, very handy. Another really handy trick is using the Destruction Expert passive. Restores 2,800 magicka when you kill a target with a Destruction Staff. If you look here, it costs 1,500. So if you're grinding mobs, this passive right here makes or break your life. You can just have infinite resources and not even use armor. And then I have good old C-Frags. It's too good to pass up. And then I have Storm Atronach. The reason being, I want to get that Hardened Ward as soon as I can. Then once I get my back bar all straight, what I'm doing is Dark Magic. I still use Defensive Rune as a defense, or you can go with Minefield, or you can go Dark Conversion if you're running out of magic. And then finally we get Power Surge. So it gives you the spell damage that we need, and it lasts 33 seconds. And it heals you for the amount of crits that you do, 40%. So with this and Blood Magic, now you start being a Sorc powerhouse. So then you get access to your 3 wards. Harness Magicka for spell damage, Hardened Ward for anything, and then Healing Ward for self-healing. So what this looks like is, watch my bar. Healing Ward, Harness, Hardened Ward. It's going to be very tough to get through all that. And when that Healing Ward pops, kabloom, I'm at full health. I also go Vampire, and it's solely for clearing out mobs. I may stick with this later on in the endgame, I may not, but it's just for using bats on groups of mobs, specifically zombies. And let me tell, while we're talking about zombies, there's a couple important passives you guys need to get. And the first one is in the Fighter's Guild. Banish the Wicked. Grants you 3 extra ultimate when killing dead and undanger. If you're a grinder and you don't want to do the story quest, this thing will have you spamming bats left and right. Why? Well, sorcerers don't have an individual thing or ability to get ultimate back, but they do have Power Stone, which reduces the ultimate cost. So in stage 4 Vampirism, which I stay in, bats only cost me 128 ultimate. So almost every encounter I have a bats up. It's awesome. That's really the only thing I take out of this right away until I get back spell points. If you take a couple of these, and Holy Knowledge is really good passive, reducing magic cost and stamina cost for all abilities, that's huge. We already talked about some other ones, Capacitor, Disintegrate, but Expert Mage, increasing spell damage by 1% or 2% when max for each sorcerer ability slotted. That makes sense. But what I think fundamentally is the most important is get Evocation, reduce magic cost per light armor, and then Recovery. More recovery per light armor. And I'm using 7 pieces of light armor. And putting this on your bar while leveling will really shoot up your light armor skills. You can see I lack a lot of skill points, but I'm going to go back and get those once I reach endgame. Okay, so a couple other ones. Obviously, Mage Guild is very important. For PvE, I use Inner Light, and I drop Defensive Rune and Streak if I'm going to do a dungeon. And then I use Structured Entropy until I get access to Power Surge. And then you're going to want to put all the passes in here. Like I said, I ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing. Racials. Okay, High Elf. High Elf is amazing. It is the race to be for a Magic Sorc. Trust me, I have a VR16 Breton and I have this guy, and I can tell a difference already with this guy. And a lot of it's due to the elemental talent. It increases your damage with frost, fire, and shock. Well, what are we using as a damage ability? Flame, cold, shock. Not too bad. Also, the magic recovery is incredibly, because it's 9%, and then you combine that with the capacitor here, increase magic recovery by 10%. Combine that further with the Atronach Mundus Stone, and you're looking at never running out of magic. Hold on, it gets better. You can even use Dark Conversion to trade stamina for magic, or trade ultimate with energy overload, making it the juggernaut resource machine for magic. And that's what I suggest. Okay, so what happens when you get to VR1? Deltia, what are we going to do next? Okay, so you've reached VR1, now what do you do? So in terms of where to level, usually what I do is finish Cadwell Silver. It's a series of quests and your other factions zone. You're going to have a Cadwell's Almanac right here that's going to tell you the specific things that you need to do in each zone. Once you've done that, you unlock Cadwell Silver. That's important because you get access to a whole new area with quests and do whatever you want. New grind spots with higher level mobs, more sky shards, more skill points. So I highly suggest that. If you don't want to do that and you just literally want to grind, if you guys don't know, there's a PvP cave over here. Where is it? Crackwood Cave. Well, it's over here somewhere. I don't know if I have it on here, but it's hostile, so you're going to have basically every faction fighting for it, but it's probably the best grind spot. If you don't want to do that, you can grind in the power leveling video that I showed you. Also, Imperial City is fantastic. If you get a partner that's at endgame and you're not, you're still going to get experience to you. I would just say limit your party size to 2, no more than 3. So for me personally, what I'm going to do is do Cadwell Silver. Finish that. I'm going to grind up to around VR 10 or so, and then I'm going to go into the Imperial Sewers solo or with a buddy until I hit 16. I probably can get it in 2 or 3 days because I am a maniac and will play this because that's all I think about. Believe it or not, my Magic Sorc build is my #1 most popular build, so I need to get this sucker updated. A couple other things that I highly recommend you do, and that's finish leveling the skill lines. You want to get each skill line to 50, and then you can select your bar whatever way you want. And then, because these passes will make a difference. As you start getting more skill points, you're going to start filling these in. I take every single one. Sometimes they're not effective, sometimes they are. Take them. If it makes your character more powerful, it's better than, having 15 skill points sitting around. Another thing you want to do is get your Fighters Guild maxed, because Dawnbreaker, the other more smiting Dawnbreaker, is fantastic for PvP, and we'll be showing that off later. Mages Guild, you're going to want to have Comet, Shooting Star unlocked as well for PvE and PvP. You need to start working on Undaunted. At level 45, you can start getting pledges. Believe me, start early on this, leveling up, do your dailies, your non-vet and your vet. You're going to get a few points on this because you want Undaunted Command, more resources off synergies, and more max stats. Max stats. It's very important because how are your wards determined? Well, your max magic. So that's going to make you a lot more powerful. Another thing you can do is get a lot of sky shards. There's tons and tons of lore books, but usually what we do is we have a guild night where we go into Cyrodiil and clear out all of the lore books and sky shards together. We go to the delves, dolmens, just basically hang around and TeamSpeak talk, and I've already done one side of the map, and so this will give you a huge jump on it. If you're lobby, go to a lobby server with your buddies and go do it. It's going to be a monster benefit to your character. And then start experimenting. Maybe dip your toes in PvP. What is the build like for you? Do you need more recovery? Do you need more max magic? Change in and out abilities that suit you. And so for gear, I don't get too crazy leveling. Now at VR1, I'm going to use this gear all the way to VR16. So I crafted Twiceborn Star. Now you don't have to do that. That's a little bit absurd. What I like is Seducers if you're low champion points. Seducers gives you reduced cost, or Magnus if you have a little bit more champion points. So an 8% chance to reduce the spell cost, and instead of more recovery, you get spell damage. So a little bit better there. And then you can enchant your jewelry that you can buy at the Mages Guild with spell damage if you have a lot of champion points, or if not so much, do recovery or reduce cost. So I got 2 Mundus Stones here. Early on, what I used is the Atronach. The Atronach is magic recovery. I also use Crown Store drinks because they scale to my level. And now if you don't have money to do it, I totally get that. Buy drinks in your local guild store or create them yourself with the Provisioner. The drinks combined with the Atronach Mundus Stone and the passes that I've shown you is going to add up, making it much easier to level. Much, much easier. I go all my attribute points into magic, and the reason being at endgame I can go ahead and resort my attributes or my armor enchants and get about 20,000 health. Even at VR1 I'm already at 16,000, so this character is looking really good. Okay, so to give you an idea what the High Elf looks like, and let's say PvE endgame, look at how much magic you can get. If I go ahead and slot Bound Aegis, which gives me 7% more, and then I slot Inner Light, which will give me 5% at endgame. And let's say I had Undaunted Metal, and I use 5 light, 1 and 1. That would be 6% more magic. We're almost at 30,000 on a VR1. So you can probably get 50k max magic on this Sorc if you worked at it. Not to mention a decent amount of critical. And that's not even having the passive. So, I think Magic Sorcs will be pretty good at endgame. I don't think they're going to be the top PvE DPS, but my friend Nifty is theory crafting one up. So he's the brains behind my beauty, Brawn. I don't know. Nifty, I hope you don't comment. But anyways, we should have something for you. PvP, I need to get more experience in it, doing Imperial City. And the PvP build will almost always be similar to the Maelstrom Arena build. So I want to make sure both work well together. So it's going to be a little bit more time before I get this one out to you. But at least we'll have something PvE by the time Orsinium drops. Thank you so much for watching. We're almost done. Hopefully Laceration will get done before this and we'll have all the builds ready for Maelstrom Arena. And then as I start beating Maelstrom Arena, I'm going to go back and edit them and tell you guys what I did to do it. Veteran, of course. And then, so I'm going to try every single build. I imagine Magic will be easier to start. Once I start learning, I'll go through the Stamina builds. So I can't wait to experiment with that. Also more PvP builds. I plan on doing a PvP series pretty soon, called Survivor and Cyrodiil. It's going to be really cool. Thank you so much for watching, gang. Deltia from Deltia's Gaming, out.